Welcome to the Theoly Podcast. Today is February 1st, 2026, and we are on day 32 of reading through the Bible. Today we are going to pick up with the Israelites in Egypt. Now, we are in the book of Exodus, and we know that Exodus begins approximately 300 years after Joseph's death. So it starts out by explaining that we have Jacob, who is known as Israel, who moved to Egypt with his sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And of course, we know that Joseph was already there. We've already read that story. So now we are in the time when Joseph and all of his brothers have already passed away. It's about 300 years later. And the king in Egypt now doesn't know anything about Joseph or what he has done. But the Israelites, the sons of all of these men, have multiplied and become very powerful in Egypt. And so this new king now is worried because the Israelites are so many in number. And if they go to war, he's afraid they are going to turn against him. So he decides to make the Israelites their slaves. They force them to build the cities of Pithom and Ramesses as supply centers for the king. They decide that if they make them work really hard and push them without mercy, that hopefully that will contain them. But it doesn't work because the Israelites continue to multiply. So the Pharaoh gets this idea and tells the Hebrew midwives, Sapphira and Puah, that when the women have babies, if they give birth to a baby boy, that they are supposed to kill the baby boys. If it's a girl, that she can live. Well, the midwives, of course, feared God, and they refused to do this. So they allowed the boys to live too. Then the king found out that they were doing this, and he asked them why, and the women said that the Israelite women are not like Egyptian women, that they have their babies so fast that by the time they get there, the babies are already born, so they don't have time to kill them. And because they did this, God ended up blessing those midwives and giving them families of their own. So then the Pharaoh comes along and gives an order to all of the people that every newborn Hebrew boy should be thrown into the Nile River to be killed, but the girls can live. So about this time, a man and woman from the tribe of Levi, they get married and they have a baby boy. And she hides her baby for about 3 months. And then she weaves a basket and seals it with tar so that it's waterproof. And she puts her baby boy into this basket and puts him into the Nile River and hides him in the reeds. His older sister, of course, stands on the bank watching. And the Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to bathe. And she saw the basket and had her attendants bring it to her. And she opens it and sees this little baby in there, and he's crying, and she feels sorry for him. She realizes it must be one of the Hebrew children. So the little sister runs up and asks if she wants her to go find a Hebrew woman to nurse the baby, and the princess says yes. So then she goes and gets the baby's mother. And the princess tells her, I will pay you for your help. I will pay you to take care of this baby. So the mother takes home the baby and nurses him. And then later, when he's older, the mother brings him back to the Pharaoh's daughter, and she adopts him as her own son and names him Moses, because she said, I lifted him out of the water. So then many years later, when Moses is grown up, there's a note that says he's about 40 years old at this time. He goes out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he sees how hard they are forced to work. And while he's there, there's an Egyptian beating an old man. After looking in all directions to make sure no one's watching, he goes and kills that Egyptian and hides the body in the sand. He goes out again the next day, and he saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. So he goes and tries to break it up and ask them, why are you fighting your friend? And the man replies, who said that you are our prince and judge? Leave us alone. Isn't it enough that you have killed an Egyptian already? Then Moses realizes that everyone knows what he did, and he gets afraid. And he was right, because the Pharaoh did hear what happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses runs and gets out of the country, and he runs to the land of Midian. When he gets to Midian, he sits down by a well, and all of these women show up with their dad's flocks. And it was the priest of Midian. He had 7 daughters that came, and they usually drew water and filled the troughs for their water's flocks. So they came as usual to do that, but some other shepherds chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued those girls, and he drew water for their flocks. And then the girls went home to Reuel, their father, and he wondered why they got back so early, and asked them, and they said that some Egyptian came and rescued them, and that he drew water for them. So he sent them back to go get him. Moses ended up accepting that invitation and ended up living there with them. And then in time, Reuel gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses for his wife. He later had a son and named him Gershom because he said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. So many years passed, and that king of Egypt had died, but the Israelites were still in slavery, and they were praying to the Lord and asking God for help. And then it says that God heard their groaning and remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he looked down and realized that it was time to act. It makes a note here. It talks about Moses' family tree. So Moses was the son of Amram. Amram was the son of Kohath, and Kohath was the son of Levi. And Levi was one of the sons of Israel. So then it talks about one day Moses is out tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro. He's in the wilderness by Sinai, the mountain of God. And an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire in a bush. And he realizes that this bush is burning, but it's not actually being consumed. And so he's quite intrigued and goes to see why it's not actually burning up. And as he's getting closer, the Lord cries out to him, Moses, Moses. And Moses says, here I am. And God said, don't come closer. Take off your sandals because you are walking on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord told him that he has seen the oppression of all of his people in Egypt, and because of their cries, he was aware of their suffering, so he has come to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own land that is spacious and flowing with milk and honey. It is the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Because their cry has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them, I'm going to send you to the Pharaoh. You must lead my people out of Egypt. But Moses protests, of course. He's saying, who am I? I can't go to the Pharaoh. How could I lead the people out of Egypt? But God says that he is going to be with him. And he said, this is your sign that I am the one who sent you. When you have brought all the people out of Egypt, you're going to worship me on this very mountain. But Moses still protests, and he says, if he goes to tell them the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they're going to ask, who are you? What is your name? And what am I supposed to tell them? And God replies, I am who I am. Tell the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. And then tell the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my eternal name, my name to remember for all generations. Now go ahead and call together all the elders of Israel and tell them that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me and told me that he has been watching you closely and he sees how the Egyptians are treating you. He has promised to rescue you from your oppression in Egypt. I will lead you out of the land to the land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. The elders of Israel will accept your message. Then you and the elders must go to the king of Egypt and tell him that I want you to go journey into the wilderness and offer a 3-day sacrifice to the Lord. I know that the king of Egypt is not going to let you go unless a mighty hand forces him. So God says he's going to raise his hand and strike the Egyptians and perform many kinds of miracles among them. And then at last he knows that the king will let them go. And when they leave, the Egyptians are going to be favorable towards them, and they're going to give them silver and gold and fine clothing so that they don't leave empty-handed. But of course, Moses protests again. He doesn't think that they're going to listen to him. And he says, what if they say that the Lord never appeared to you? And then the Lord asked him, what's in your hand? And he had a shepherd's staff. And so the Lord said, throw that on the ground. So Moses threw down his staff, and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back, and the Lord told him, reach out and grab its tail. So Moses reached out and grabbed it, and it turned back into a shepherd's staff. The Lord said to perform this sign, then they will believe that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, has really appeared to you. Then the Lord said, Moses, put your hand inside your cloak. And so he did. And when he took it out again, his hand was white as snow with a severe skin disease. And he said, put your hand back into your cloak again. And then when he took it back out, it was healthy as the rest of his body. The Lord said to Moses, If they do not believe you and are not convinced by the first miraculous sign, then they will be convinced by the second. And if they don't believe you or listen to you even after these 2 signs, then take some of the water from the Nile River and pour it out on the dry ground, and when you do, the water from the Nile will turn to blood on the ground. But Moses pleaded with the Lord because he said, I'm not good with words. I never have been, not even now, even though you've spoken to me. I get tongue-tied and my words get tangled. Then the Lord asked Moses, who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak? Hear or do not hear? See or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you in what to say. But Moses, he pleads again and says, please send anyone else. So then the Lord becomes angry with him and finally says, okay, what about your brother Aaron, the Levite? He speaks well, and look, he's even on his way to see you, and he's going to be really happy to see you. So talk to him and put the words into his mouth, and he can be your mouthpiece. I will tell you both what to do. He will be the spokesman to the people, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say. And take your shepherd's staff with you and use it to perform the miraculous signs I have shown you. So I think this is amazing because God is still honoring the covenants that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it's been hundreds of years, but he's still listening and still seeing what's happening. So he has found a way to lead his people out. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.